Just knocked over the microphone, which is a good start. I have outsourced the topic of today's video to the bird website. Speaking of the bird website, look at my bird lamp. It's so helpful. And Molly said, I want to see a video about the Killers. And I am happy to deliver, because actually the first 2 videos I tried to record were too serious and I didn't feel like making them. But talking about the Killers will make me indescribably happy. So this year, 2020, our pandemic year, is the first year in, I would say, well, definitely over 15 years that I've not been to a single gig. And that is devastating to me. I love live music. I particularly love seeing my favourite band, The Killers, all around the world, really. It's especially gutting because, I was supposed to see The Killers, I think 11 times I had tickets for, plus maybe more, around the UK on their UK tour for Imploding the Mirage that came out in summer. And I was so excited. And then, obviously, with the pandemic, those dates got pushed to next year and still not really knowing whether that's going to be viable or not. And then also once the album came out, hearing all these songs and just being like, oh, this is good, this would be so good and will be so good when we finally get to hear it in an arena and just with everyone else knowing all the words and just the excitement of it. And I felt really gutted that wasn't happening. It felt like an extra loss there. But now, thankfully, as things look a little bit more hopeful with the vaccine and stuff, it feels a bit more probable that that will be in my nearish future, at least. Anyway, that was a bit of a segue. I love The Killers. Some of my favourite things about going to see them live is seeing my friends from the shows. So Killers fans call themselves the Victims. Killers, Victims. A lot of us who queue throughout the day to get good spots at barrier shows know each other really well, and I know the UK victims and then a lot of the European victims, and then of course from living outside in the States, I know a lot of the different coasts of victims who I mostly see when we spend entire days queuing for 12 or 13 hours to see the Killers, and it's just, I miss them and I miss our camaraderie and I miss our common love for a band and the way we know the music. And even though the music means different things to all of us, being surrounded by people for whom these songs mean something so big and this band means something so huge for all the people standing around you, there's something really wonderful in that. And that's so much of it when I queue for barrier and stuff is not about necessarily just being as close as possible to the band. It's also about being surrounded as much as possible by people who love the music as much as you do, who are noticing the things that you're noticing and getting excited about it and just having the best possible time. And also it's funny because I think about the shows I go to now and the numbers of times I've been right at the very front and all of that stuff. But then I also think of myself, the one that really comes to mind is the Sam's Town tour and the Killers show in Wembley Arena, not Wembley Stadium, Wembley Arena. And I went with my friend Becky and we were nowhere near the front by any means. We were all the way near the back. We were just having the best time. It didn't matter. It's something about that band that just I connect with so absolutely. And a lot of it, of course, is the constancy of these songs having been in my life for such a long time now. I have somewhere Mr. Brightside as a single, and I saved up and bought the album when it came out at HMV. This is Hot Fuss. Having spent that much of my life with a band and still just genuinely loving them so much, and because they sort of reform their sound with each album and trying different things and aren't afraid to push the boat out a bit, it's exciting to have that be part of growing up with them. It doesn't feel like any part of me is forcing it, if that makes sense. It just feels, it's such a pure and genuine love for them. I'm remembering now when I first heard My God off Imploding the Mirage, the album that just came out, and the joy it filled me with, and also the sense of this is a song that I'm just going to be playing over and over again. And the same with so many other tracks on this album, like Fire and Bone, which you heard in the background of the Fox video, and Lightning Fields. I remember when Lightning Fields first came on, when I listened to the album through, and it feels also, there's something about it that feels very mine, but not in a way that feels like possessive or like I'm jealous of other people having part of it. But it feels very mine in a way that I almost don't need to defend or protect because the love is there. I love the imagery and the lyrics. I love synth in general. I don't have the language for music, but I know enough about the kinds of sounds that I like, and I like bass and riffs and synth, and I love Ronnie Vannucci's drumming so much. It feels like it's carving out a rock face with every single beat. They're all really special to me, and I like Sam's Town is such a fan favourite, but Day and Age is really special to me. There's such a narrative on there about depression and purpose and your own existence, and I just remember listening to it over and over again. I think there's even a video on here somewhere of me going through and reviewing the album, although I might have made it private, I can't remember. The whole album feeling so elevated. Like Day and Age to me very much exists in the desert, but it also exists kind of in the sky somehow. And then Wonderful Wonderful exists on the ground, and that might be partly because of the album covers, but there is something very sort of these like grounded sounds in Wonderful Wonderful, and these sky sounds in Day and Age, and Imploding the Mirage is kind of that lightning that connects the two, and it is that storm. I think it exists more in the storm than anything else, but maybe I'm just really influenced by album cover art, and that's why album cover art can be at least so powerful. I can talk more specifically about Imploding the Mirage, the album that just came out, if you'd like to hear about it, or I'll just talk about it anyway. But if you have any specific questions and comments and stuff, let me know, and I will happily make another video about The Killers, or about some of the other albums that have come out this year that I have absolutely loved, because there have been some fantastic albums out, and it's been a great year for music, even though it's been a very sad year for live music, unfortunately. But yeah, okay, I'm going to leave that there. All right, bye-bye.